Okay, I'm back out here in my shop this morning. I'm going to work on a project that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. It's making I call it a duplicator, some people call it a copy carver, but it's where you can have a template or a good piece and you set it down, and right beside it you set a blank and you can move it back and forth and create a copy or a duplicate, actually. So I like to call them a duplicator. But anyway, I've been looking on the internet, looking at lots of pictures and looking for plans and this kind of thing, trying to find one that I like. And finally the other day I ran across one. I was looking at just Google images and I saw a picture of one and I thought, man, I really like the way that one's designed. It looked really slick. So I tracked it down to a gentleman by the name of Lee. I don't know his last name, but he was on the Lumberjocks forum, and he had posted some lots of pictures of it. He didn't have any plans, unfortunately, but he did have lots of pictures, and he did kind of describe some of the things he was doing. So I spent a good bit of time looking at his pictures and trying to model up one very similar to that. So I've got one modeled up, and let me show you what I've got on paper here. Okay, I'm going to try to hold this. I hope you can see it here. This is what I've got modeled up. This is basically the most of the frame. I guess you'd call this the gantry. I think Lee used a 5/8 rod. I've got mine modeled with a 3/4 rod, and the only reason I did that is because I already had some 3/4 bushings. I've already got some here in my shop that I'm going to use inside these little pivot brackets. But you can see I've even got it modeled up with my router and a little mount there to hold the router. And this is all pretty much, you can make all of this this part of it out of a half sheet of plywood. I kind of also drew this up. This you can see my printer about run out of ink here, but this is the gray area here actually represents like a 48 by 48 or a half sheet of plywood. I've got the two side frames. I've got the three pivot wheels. This is the top cross member. This is the bottom cross member, and then I'm using the window inside there to get the three pivot brackets. And then it still gives me some other drop. I'll have this drop out of this window, this drop over here, and plus I've got a whole another half sheet that I didn't use because, like I said, this is a 48 by 48. So I know how much material I'm going to use. I'm probably going to have about 50 bucks worth of material in this job when I get done. But anyway, I've already programmed some of this stuff in my VCarve Pro. For this job, I'm going to use my CNC router just because I have one, and it'll make it real easy because I can get these parts programmed, put the blanks on here, hit the button, and then I can go do something else while this thing is cutting them out. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'll keep the camera rolling and show you my progress. Okay, I've got the plywood cut down to the correct blank size. This blank is 40 by 18. It's going to be running the top cross member, and then I'll have the inside drop to use for any other small parts that I might need or for another project or whatever. My CNC router has basically a cutting area of about 40 by 26, so I trimmed these down to 40 inches. So it'll fit on my machine. You can see I got it clamped down here and have a sacrificial piece of HDPE, half-inch HDPE underneath here. And I've got my machine zeroed for the center of the material, and I've got my shop vac hooked up, so I'm going to try to run a little vacuum in here to keep the dust down. And let's get started. Okay, I finished making the top cross member, and just so I can kind of show you something here. I don't know if I've shown anybody this before, but it's got I programmed this with tabs in here to hold this drop in, and also to hold the other piece in as well, so it doesn't move after it's breaking it free. So let's see if I can get this out of here. I'll show you that. So you can see here I've got little tabs programmed in where it'll all hold this in, and then I'll come back and take a handsaw and cut that out, and then I can clean that up at the router table. So we've got the top cross member done, and got a few more parts to go, and we'll start assembling this thing. Okay, I finished my second blank here, and I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about something. You've probably heard me mention this before in some of my other videos, but having a CNC router is really nice because it's like having an extra set of hands, or an extra helper, I guess, working in your shop. Because as you can see, another thing that's really neat is you can really utilize the drop by nesting these parts in here. So, you know, otherwise I probably would have just thrown this piece away, but I was able to get these three brackets, and then I just put tabs to hold things in here. And you can see this was actually so close you can see it's about ready to fall out of here, but it didn't hurt any of the parts. If the kerf of the router bit overlapped, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything as long as it doesn't cut into the parts. But yeah, it's really nice having a CNC router to do this stuff. Like I said, because while this blank was running, the blank that I cut previously, I had it over there on the router table, cleaning up the edges and doing some round over on it and all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice. Having said that, though, you can still do this project without a CNC router. It just, in my case, it makes it really nice because I can run one blank while I'm working on the parts that just came out of another blank. Okay, I finished with the third blank now, and I wanted to take a minute and show you a mistake that I made. When I was programming this, I inadvertently had the tool path to cut out this window ahead of the tool path that cuts these little pivot wheels out. And you can see it cut this one out fine, no problem. But when it went to cut this one, you can see that even though I had it tabbed, it was down here and it was overlapping the curve cut of that window. So when this piece came loose, it started trying to cut through this whole piece, and fortunately I was standing here close to the machine. I was able to stop it, turn the router off, run the machine back home and check my 0 point, make sure I hadn't lost my, the machine hadn't lost any steps, and I didn't lose my 0. And fortunately I was pretty lucky there that it didn't. So then I could take my software and just skip ahead to the toolpath part where it's cutting this outside profile, and just tell it to start the machine from there. So I was able to save this piece. But I just want to take a minute and show you this, because had this a lot of times when it's trying to cut all the way through this in one pass like it was, it will either lose some steps, or sometimes it will push so hard, even though you've got this clamped down really good, it will make this blank move. And then of course once it moves even a hair, you've lost your 0. So it's it's pretty much firewood after that. So, but anyway, it's no big deal. I need 3 of these, and this one's not good. So I've got one here, and I've got the next blank I've got to run the opposite side. So I'll just add a second one into the opposite side blank, and then I'll make sure that I have this profile cut before this one. And I may even put another tab over here or something too, just to make sure. But I want to take a minute and show you that how it's easy to make a mistake on even using your CNC. Okay, as you can see, I've got the gantry pretty much done. I've got the base cut. I've just got it set here on my table saw, and I think it's going to be pretty nice. I've been to, I was looking for some 3/4 round rods, and I've been to Ace Hardware, Lowe's, and Home Depot, and all 3 of them only sold that in a 36-inch length, and I need just about 38 inches. So for right now, I've just got some 1/2-inch EMT conduit, which is roughly 3/4. It's a little sloppy, but that will do so I can at least get this thing checked out. But I've got some rails cut here, and I'm going to set up my router table and make a U-channel where these little oak wheels will ride in that, and also ride with that little notch right there. So got to get that set up and get those cut, and we're just about done with this thing. Okay, I've got most of this done now. I think this is going to pretty much wrap it up for part 1 of this build here. I went ahead and put my router on here so you can see how this works. I've got to attach some kind of a handle here so that when this rotates, it all rotates together, and you can see how this pivots back and forth. And then I've got my U-channel wood rails here. I actually used a bowl bit to mill this out to give the edges a little bit of a radius, because I've got a 1/4 inch radius on these little wooden oak wheels. So that worked out pretty good. So a couple of things I got to do. I've got to put a handle here to make it easier to handle when you're tilting it. The other thing I've got to do right now, without any counterweight, this thing is very heavy, especially because I'm using a full-size router here, a Porter cable router. So I'm going to make something that goes out the back here, a counterweight. And Lee, the guy that I was copying these plans from, or the design from, he had a nice little thing made out here where he had a piece of, I think it was like 2-inch round steel, about 12 inches long or something, weighed about 6 pounds, I guess. But since I don't have any of that around, I'm thinking more that I'll just maybe make some kind of a little box where I can put whatever in there to, till I can get the weight to offset it. So I need to put a counterbalance. I need to replace this conduit that I've got on here temporarily with some cold roll round rod when I can get that. I couldn't find any this weekend. And put my handle on here, and then this thing is ready to try out. So that's going to do it for this first video. Once I get everything completed, I'll shoot another video and show this thing in action here. I think it's going to work really well. It seems to move really smooth. So I'm looking forward to trying it out. But anyway, thanks for all the new subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And we'll catch you next time.